Hello and welcome back to the top 85 games for the BBC Micro Video Countdown series. In at number 4, it's Exile from Superior Software. This game was released in 1988 and it was developed by Peter Irvin and Jeremy Smith. It's an action-adventure game that brings together some of the very best features of any good Beeb game. It's got superb graphics, realistic physics, fiendish puzzles, and all set within a fully immersive world. It's prized by many as one of the best games ever released for the Beeb, and honestly, it's easy to see why. Although I personally came quite late to the game myself, it instantly won me over and has become a firm favourite of mine as well. It's not an easy game, far from it, but the extent to which you can lose yourself in it and really just have fun exploring the planet is quite unlike anything I've ever played on the BBC Micro. Indeed, it's quite unlike anything I've played on any other platform since. The sheer scale and scope of Exile is incredible, especially considering the memory limitations. And it was even ported to the Acorn Electron, although with a certain amount of screen junk around the edges in order to be able to fit in all of the code. Audiogenic further ported it to the Commodore 64, the Amiga and the Atari ST, such was the popularity of the game, and deservedly so. But without further ado, I think we should get stuck into Exile and really see what it's all about. Okay, let's start it up. So this is Exile by Peter Irvin and Jeremy Smith. There's quite a long introduction here. There's a decent storyline behind Exile. You're basically on the planet Phoebus trying to get hold of the Exile, the genetic engineer Triax. You are Mike Finn, a member of the Columbus Force. And essentially you have to find Triax and get hold of the destinator, which he's nicked from you at the start of the game. There's a lot of controls. It's a really involved game, as you can tell from the instructions. Excellent splash screen art, as always, from Superior. And this is our sort of entry menu. This game actually supports loading and saving as well, which is really quite impressive. And you can tell what your status is from this screen as well to work out what your saved game looks like. Obviously, we haven't started yet, so no change there. But it also uses sideways RAM if you've got it. Just gives a few extra features, a bit of speech synthesizing, which is really fun.
Welcome to the land of the Exile.
There you go. So this is us. We are Mike Finn, astronaut extraordinaire. This is his spaceship that he's arrived in. And you can already see that the physics of the game are really impressive. It's not just a case of moving left and right here. He actually does float. There's a sense of the force of gravity. You have to use your boosters to carefully edge him down so he doesn't smash into the ground. He actually says ow if you hit him into the ground too hard. What we're going to do here is probably just orient ourselves a little bit before getting stuck into the game proper. So this is the crashed ship. I think this is called the Pericles, and I'm going to go and see if I can nab a grenade from inside here. This cannon, by the way, comes into use later on. Probably won't get to it in this review. The game is very deep. You need to obviously spend quite a long time playing it. I've seen some full playthroughs on YouTube that last over 4 hours, so yes, we won't be we won't be doing that today. But nevertheless, I've managed to get my grenade. Grenades are helpful both as weapons and potentially as ways of getting through doors as well. You can blow up doors. And that's probably one of the things that's worth calling out about Exile in comparison to a lot of other arcade puzzlers. There isn't one set route. So if you try and Google, for example, for a walkthrough, not saying I would have tried that, of course, you won't necessarily find a definitive walkthrough. You'll find a walkthrough, but there are multiple ways to solve the game, and actually the order in which you do things doesn't necessarily matter all that much. I'm going to use my grenade here to blow up this door just to prove the principle. And then that helps me get in there to get a couple more grenades. Oh dear, security sentinel, the death sphere, as they're called. But yes, I mean, for example, here I've used a grenade to access these other grenades, but I don't necessarily have to have done that. So I'm going to pocket these grenades for now, put them in my inventory. If I'd found the RDC, which is the device that you use for activating keys that you find, then you can use that instead to unlock certain gates. But anyway, that's just one of the little features of the game that I really do like. The other thing is the teleporter. So you'll have heard that ding just now. I pressed the R key And that means that now when I press the T key for transport, it takes me back to exactly that position. And I can set my personal transporter to any point at any stage in the game whenever I want. Obviously, once I've used it the one time, it will default back to the ship again, unless I've pressed the R key somewhere else. But, I mean, that's an ingenious feature of the game. Not only does it allow you to load and save games, as I already mentioned, you can use this transporter both to sort of mark your position. You might decide, okay, I'm going to mark my position here and come back to it later. Or you can use it to solve certain puzzles. Birds. I'll tell you what, one of the things I loathe about this game the most is the birds. I really can't stand them. They're just so irritating. And they're not very easy to get rid of as well. And at this stage in the game, I don't have a pistol, so I can't even shoot them. I've got this grenade, but I mean, I'm probably not going to manage to kill that without killing myself. There you go. The game's fairly forgiving in terms of lives. I mean, basically, if you die, it just pops you back to the start in your ship. Or if you've used your personal transporter R key previously, it'll take you back to that position, and it keeps your inventory intact as well, unless you've lost something along the way. The physics of the game are really clever. So if you're carrying objects, and we might see a bit of this later on, if you're carrying certain objects and you get hit by a bird or something else, you can actually drop them. Not intentionally, of course. Now we've got another one of these doorways, and I don't have an RDC yet, so I'm going to have to use my grenade. Now you can throw grenades, and as well as you don't have to just drop them in position, you can chuck them. That didn't really work. I actually just managed to knock myself over there, but I think I should have another grenade handy. And that death sphere up above is not helping matters. Or if I think. Actually, I might have used both of my grenades at this point, thinking about it. Yes, I'm not actually sure if I can now get through here. I'm going to transport back to the ship, I think. Let's come out of here. And I think what I'm going to need to do is go to the grenade bush. There is a grenade bush in Exile. It's hidden over on this side. Well, it's not really hidden, but it's over on this side of the map. And if we go over here and give it a kick, you can actually see it there. Look, it's just nudging out the side. There we go. So that's given me an extra grenade. So I'm going to pocket that and make my way back to that doorway that I completely failed to open just now. Yeah, there's nothing else hidden in there. So let's head back. I mean, another thing to just admire as we make our way back here. Look at the graphics of it. I mean, this is full Technicolor, 8 colours. Really, really beautiful. And it's in 8 colours, but it doesn't look like your sort of typical Mode 2 game. I mean, it's individual pixels here, not the big chunky typical Mode 2 graphics. There we go. Lobbed my grenade. That should hopefully blow up the bridge gate. I blew up myself at the same time, but never mind. As I say, the game is forgiving, so if you've managed to get your way through a particular gateway or destroy a particular enemy even, it remembers. Exile remembers, so you can obviously make your way back, which is always helpful. That's not a person, by the way, down there on the right hand side. That's the your protective suit, which is one of the items that. Oh gosh, death sphere raining death down on me. There's a different kind of transporter down there. We might get to use one of those later on, but now we're heading down into the caverns. So I'm going to drop myself down here. You can hear him owing away as I smash him into the ground. Sorry, Mike. Descending into this cavernous area here. The other thing about Exile is, I mean, it's just great fun exploring this planetscape, the planet Phoebus. Quite apart from anything else, you have to do that if you want to figure out how to solve the various puzzles. But it's just great fun, and it's so well put together. Just so much to it. Oh, more birds. Oh, and a fire pit. Well done, me. That's probably not the most auspicious start, but let's try and see how we can get on from here. Now you'll notice that it took me back to the last position at which I set my personal transporter. I've set it again there, so if I die or I need to, I can jump back to that position. I mean, the personal transporter, it has to be one of the best features of the game. It's so useful, not just for sort of saving progress at a particular juncture. There was an imp nest here. Let's get away from that. But just being able to use it to solve puzzles as well is really, really handy. It's just a really, really clever device. And quite far ahead in terms of a game gameplay mechanic. I mean, I don't know many other games that that had it at this time. I think this is probably one of the first. Now, in this room, there's a flask, which is one of the most useful items for putting out those fire pits. You need to put out the fire pits to be able to access certain items. You can see the flask over there. It looks very unassuming, just a couple of parallel lines, but I can pick it up. And if I just get into the right position, there we go, I've picked it up. Now what I need to do is lob it out of the room before that gate closes, and I've completely failed to do it. So we'll try that again, because I can do it. I just didn't manage to do it on that particular go. So let's lob it out, there we go, and now because I set my transporter on the other side, I can transport myself out again. You see, isn't the transporter just genius? Absolute genius. Thankfully that gate has also locked those nasty wasps inside. They're killers, they are. They're worse than the birds, because the birds are annoying, but they don't kill you. Whereas the wasps actually, well, they're fatal if you get hit too many times by the wasps. I didn't really want to go down here. I need to get this flask to the water cavern so that I can pick up some water. Being harassed by birds here. Right, yes. Now, the birds are also a bit of a menace when it comes to the carriage of water as well, because in amongst all the various excellent details of the physics of Exile, one of the slightly frustrating aspects is that it's not enough to fill up your flask with water. As you can tell, it doesn't have a lid, which means that if you get bumped by birds or indeed by the force of gravity as you're carrying it, you will lose your water and you'll have to go and refill it. Well, these birds really are being a pain. Right. Now, I think the water was over... I think I need to go up here. Mind those imps. Look at them, chucking their weird little balls, or strange creatures. Move away from them, I think. Right, we're going to go through here, and I think, if I'm right, it should be on the left. There we go! So we drop our flask into the water, and then when you pick it up again, it's full of water. Except there's now a bird on my head, which is preventing me from getting out. And the problem is, can you see the water keeps getting knocked out by the bird each time I fly up? Because I knock the flask on the bird, and it knocks all the water out of my flask. Oh dear, you would think that you could go far enough down into the water and it would drown the bird, but no, the bird is tenacious. The bird is tenacious. So, yeah, this is really causing me a lot of trouble. Right, so, yes, I realised after quite a long time that, of course, the way to solve this is to set your personal transporter at the bottom where the flask is, then fly up to the top of this cavity here, and the birds will follow you because they're stupid. And you go all the way up to the top, and then once you get to the top and the birds come with you, you transport back again, and they don't realise that you've gone. So that now means I'm free to get my flask out of the water. Hooray! Now I've got a flask of water. I'll gently move my way out of here. I have a flask of water. Now what can I do with this flask of water, I hear you ask? Well, there are a number of fire pits in the game. There's one such here, and the problem with fire pits is that they kill you and send you back to the beginning. So what I need to do is put out the fire, so you can do that by picking up your filled water flask, and I've knocked all the water out. As I was saying, you can pick up your filled water flask and then you can place it into the fire pit, or indeed throw it down the chute like I just did. Okay, so we place the water flask into the fire pit, and if we just nudge it gently, there we go. It puts out the fire pit. Hooray! I can now walk through the fire pit without being harmed. Excellent stuff. Now, this fire pit isn't actually one of the ones that's the most significant to put out. There's a more important one, which is over here. Now, this one is quite a challenge because it's actually covered over by an automatic door. So you'll see when I come down here, this automatic door comes across. So what I have to do is put the flask down, preferably without getting marauded by another bird, and then set my personal transporter to where I was so that I can come back to it. And then if I fly to a certain position outside of that water pit, I think it's down on the right-hand side, you'll hear it open up again, he says. I'm pretty sure there's a trigger point somewhere around here. There you go, you can hear it. Now the water pit, now the water flask, I should say, has fallen into the fire pit and has put out the fire. I didn't quite set my transporter to the right position, so I'm going to have to do that bit again. But it's okay, because the fire pit's been put out, so I can fly out of here, go back to the trigger point, which will withdraw the drawbridge. Try not to hit my head. There we go. And now I can transport back in again. And lo and behold, I'm in the fire pit, and you'll see there's a little object in the bottom left. That is the RDC, which is what you need to be able to make use of keys. So I'm going to now go and see if I can find a key to use with my RDC, which is how you get through into certain hidden rooms, including that one on the right with the menacing robot, who we shall be seeing more of a little bit later. But for now, I need to go and see if I can find a key. Now, there are a number of different keys of different colours, and as with most arcade puzzlers, the colour of the key matches to the colour of the doorway. But the keys don't do anything without the RDC, so you need to get the RDC first. I've just walked into a Death Sphere room. That was a bit stupid. Right, okay, so there's a key down here, hidden behind this wasp's nest. You can see it on the ground there. And if I pick that up, I teleport myself out. Now, armed with my RDC and that green key, I think if I transport back to the ship, I should be able to demonstrate this with some of the locked doorways that I previously blew up with grenades. So if we come back to the ship, this is a good illustration of how there's more than one way to crack the puzzles in Exile. That was a Freudian slip. So here we go. We are back here. Now, last time around, as you know, I used a grenade, but this time I'm going to use my RDC. You aim the RDC at the relevant doorway and, hey presto, open sesame. Abracadabra. It opens up, and that means that you don't actually have to use a grenade, and it's obviously reusable as well. So as long as you hold on to your RDC in your arsenal, you can keep using it. And provided you've got the right keys, you can open all sorts of doorways. Now, one such doorway, as we noticed earlier, was down here with this menacing robot behind it. So I'm going to use my RDC, and there you go. That's opened up that doorway, and now the robot will attempt to kill me, and succeed most likely, because he's quite a devil, this robot. Alien die. He just says alien die over and over again. So I'm the alien in his world, and he will basically pursue you and kill you every time you bump into him. Alien die. So I need to find a way to dispense with this particular robot. Now the problem is, there is a gun in this room, which is one of the main reasons why you'd want to go in here. You might be thinking, why on earth did you want to let this robot out in the first place? Well, the main reason is because of this gun, which I've now got. But it's one of several different guns in Exile. So it's not the only gun that you can pick up. And it doesn't have a huge amount of utility. It can basically stun things. It can kill birds as well, which is obviously worth its weight in gold in my opinion. But as far as that robot's concerned, it's not enough to kill him. It's just enough to stun him and essentially shunt him in a particular position. So there's more than one way to get rid of that robot, but I'm just going to demonstrate the use of the pistol, mainly because I just like getting rid of these birds because they're really annoying. But you can see here, this bird, if I hit it a few times with the pistol, it takes a few shots, but eventually bird is toast, and that's got rid of can't really kill its nest, but it gets rid of the bird. And to be honest with you, given how irritating the birds are, it's helpful to have the pistol just for that. So what we're going to do now is head back down into the cavern, ideally without getting killed by the Death Sphere. I should have used my pistol on the Death Sphere actually, because although you can't kill the Death Spheres with your pistol, you can put them out of action briefly. If you shoot them, it'll stun them. Ooh. Menacing noises coming from that room. Anyway, we're going to head back down. Now, the aim of the game here, or at least one of the ways that you can get rid of the robot, here he is, alien die, is you can try and push him into a room that's got a Death Sphere in it, and then the Death Sphere will take out the robot. The other way is to try and hit him with a grenade, but I'll be honest with you, my accuracy with grenades is pretty bad, so I'm not going to be able to do that. If you're noticing little coloured dotted lines coming out from my character, by the way, that is my aim. So you have to aim your pistol. Currently, I've got it on a diagonal there, but you can change it through, I think, 180 degrees pretty much from up to down. Now I've got it horizontal. So what I need to try and do is essentially shunt him into the room with the pistol, ideally without him killing me. If I can get him into that little alcove over there, he'll get blasted by the death sphere. There you go. He's in the room. Oh, he's come out again. Oh, there we go. Got him in there. Oh, no. Well, that wasn't great, but I think I got him into the room. I'm pretty sure I even saw an explosion. So I think he's gone. I think Alien Die is finally dead. Excellent stuff. So there you go. That's one way to get rid of the robot if you're not very good with grenades. And I've just released another robot, which looks distinctly like a Dalek, I must be honest. This one's even harder to kill than the other one, but I don't think it flies. Well, possibly it does. I can't remember. But anyway, it rolls along the ground, and it's released a bomb there, which I've managed to avoid. But yes, this doorway was another one that I was able to use the RDC on, but now I think it automatically opens at this point. I'll try and use a grenade. See if I can get the grenade in position. No, that didn't work. I think it actually knocked the grenade out and hit me with it. Charming. There he is. It really does look like a Dalek, doesn't it? Ooh, well, it is a BBC Micro after all. Why not? Oh. Well, that was the last of my grenades, I think. I don't think I've got any more. Whoa, look at his gun! He's got, like, seeking missiles. Goodness gracious. Well, from one bad robot to another. This is the ongoing fun of Exile. Yes, well, that's another challenge to be dealt with. Not sure how successful I'm going to be there. Maybe the best course of action would be to just run away. I'll tell you what, instead of trying to fight that robot, I think what we'll do is we'll use one of the other teleporters. So over here there's a little switch. There you go, I knocked it, and now that's activated a special teleporter. So not my personal teleporter, but one of the game's teleporters that takes you to a specific predefined region of the cavern. More of these. Actually, I think these are killer birds, because they're actually hurting me. They're not just shunting me. Oh dear, oh dear. But anyway, it's taking me back to this position now, which is quite handy. Let me see. Let's try going through that teleporter. I'm going to need to activate the RDC again to get through this doorway. Hang on. Let's need to get the RDC. Oh, I've dropped it. Brilliant. See what I mean? If you've got an item in your hand and the bird hits you, then you drop your item and it goes bouncing off down the screen into the imp's nest. Brilliant. Okay, right, I've got my item back. Oh, I'm being marauded. Let's get the old pistol into action. Blast a few of these imps and birds. Suppressing fire! Okay, right, okay, I think... Just need to calm them down enough so that I can get out of this room. Okay, alright, now we're back. We're back to the doorway. No, we're not. Not quite. Hang on. I'm carried away by the gravity. Come on. Let's just get the RDC back again. I want to go through that doorway. Oh my goodness. Relentless. Okay, there we go. Right, RDC is in action. So, there we are. Through we go. And into the oh, whoops, I've turned the teleporter off. Let's turn that back on again. And into the teleporter. And we're back to this area again. You have to be careful with your pistol, by the way. You notice that it reverberates off certain surfaces, and if it does that, it ends up killing you. Oh dear. I'm not really sure where I'm going at this point. It would be helpful if I could just get rid of some of these things so they just stop hitting me. Oh dear. Well, I feel that at this point we've definitely given Exile a good run for its money, so I'm probably going to draw to a close at this point. But as you all have hopefully appreciated, this game has so much going for it, and I hope it makes sense to you why I've brought it in at number 4. It could just as easily have come in at number 1. I have to be honest that at this point in the countdown, we really are looking at games between which there really is very little difference in terms of the quality and sheer awesomeness of them. And Exile is very worthy of being the best game for the BBC Micro. It's not my personal top favourite, but it's so close that it might just as well be. And I think it's really obvious to see why. It's a really clever game. It's got so much packed into a small amount of memory, as all Beeb games have to be. But it's just, you can just explore and play and enjoy and really lose yourself in it. It's a game that you can just keep coming back to. And there's more than one way to solve each puzzle, which means that you're never going to run out of enjoyment, really, because you can just find new ways to solve puzzles that you've solved previously. So there you go. That is Exile in at number 4. A fantastic game. Please play it if you haven't before. And I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope that you'll join me for the next one in the series. And until then, goodbye.